Hitting record is kind of an important part of the process, isn't it? Yeah, I'd say so. Hello everyone, and welcome back. If you're new here or if you just need a refresher, I'm Ollie and I'm the one-woman show behind the Walleeze channel. And I like to talk a lot about anything really, but especially my hobbies, which is exactly why I created this YouTube channel and subsequently this podcast, so I can talk endlessly and uninterrupted about my hobbies and hopefully entertain some people along the way. But yeah, let's get right into it because I got a lot to talk to you guys about today. I've got progress on an old whip, I've got a new cast on, and I've even got some acquisitions. Crazy, I know. There's a pigeon. There's pigeons that fly around outside my window, which is what it brings in all this light, obviously. And I just love seeing them. Okay, but anyways, let's get into the video. First up, we have our finished objects, of which I have none. So, next up, we've got works of progress, of which I have 2. Okay, first up is my Salty Days sweater by Veronica Lindbergh, also known as Kudavakika. It is a worsted weight pattern, and I'm knitting it up in Malabrigo Rios in the colorway Wales Road. It's this blue, really nice and pretty. It's like bluish purpley. It shows more blue over the camera, but you can kind of see there's a little bit of purple in there. But it's a lot more purple in real life. But it's 100% superwash merino, and I haven't shown it yet because I have to put a boyfriend warning. This is my boyfriend's Christmas present, and I don't want him seeing it before Christmas. So, hi, my dear, if you're watching this, I'll put a timestamp on the screen for you to jump to, because I'm going to show this sweater for a little bit, and I don't want you to see it, not until Christmas. So, boyfriend warning, here's a timestamp, and here is the sweater. Oh, sorry, I know that spiked the mic. I had to. Okay, let me scoot back. This is the sweater. This is what we're working with. It's made quite a bit of progress since last time. You know, let me put one of my needles through this so they can like stop clanking together. And it still clanks. Anyways. So yeah, last week, if you were here, we were right about here. So we've made all of this. We've done the cables and we've done chart C, and I've got lots to talk about all of it today. So I just got a new haircut and I'm not sure how I feel about it, but anyways, because haircuts never really look good right when you walk out of the salon. You gotta like grow into them a little bit, you know what I mean? You gotta get used to it. You gotta let it just kind of flow, let your hair figure it out, and then you'll get used to it. So I got it yesterday, so it's very fresh and very new, and I haven't gotten used to it yet. So if you see me like fiddling with it, it's because I just got a haircut yesterday. Anyways, this is the sweater, yeah. So I'm gonna put it down now so I can talk about it and my boyfriend can listen to me and he doesn't have to skip like a large chunk of this video. But it is beautiful, it's big, and the body is almost done, and I'm super stoked about it. I mean there's nothing really different about the back other than it doesn't have a neck. Oh, and I guess these things, these little bits right here. But oh, sorry about that. Yeah, so it is. What was I gonna say? I'm knitting it in 5.5 millimeter needles to meet gauge. In the pattern it says to use 5 millimeter needles, but I just wasn't getting gauge. It was too small of a gauge for that. So I went up a half size and it worked somehow. And I'm using the Knitter's Pride carbons, and I bought them as a set, my first interchangeable set, and it was dumb because I didn't try them before, and I really should have because I don't think I really like them. I love when the yarn just slides right off. I'm a little bit of a tighter knitter sometimes. I'm a little bit of a tighter knitter. I guess in certain stuff, but I don't know. But I like metal needles. That's all. I don't really need to explain myself. I like metal needles, and so I decided, let me get some with a little bit more grip. And I've heard that the carbons are pretty good. And I just think it's a little bit too much for me, because if I get into a section where I'm knitting tight, it is a pain in my butt to move them along. But I don't know. This is also my first time really using needles, or a second time I should say, because I did my film scarf and needles that were a similar size. I think those were 4.5, so not the same but close. But yeah, I have this absolutely annoying stitch marker on, and it's so stupid, but I love it. It is a little jingle bell. Let me put it up to the mic. So it's a little jingle bell, so I'm knitting and I'm shaking it around, and all you can hear is, and it gets kind of annoying, but it's kind of funny. But I knit the cables. It was my first time knitting cables ever, and I was pretty scared and I was pretty intimidated, but I watched her video that goes along with it. I kind of got it. It was kind of way easier than I thought it was going to be. I don't know why I thought cables were such a scary thing, but it took me a while to find my groove with them. And I don't think I really found it, or I'm just not sure I really like cables. I thought I was gonna love cables. I love the look of cables, that's for sure. These cables are gorgeous. But I don't know if I like knitting cables. And I know that there's different methods to knit cables. I'm using like this little like hook cable needle. Let me see if I can. Is it in here? Yeah, it's in here. I'm using this cable needle. It's just a cable needle I had lying around from when I was a kid. I don't know if maybe that's the issue, but I didn't really enjoy it. I'd enjoy the knitting process in between, working the garter sections and such, and then I'd get to a cable row and I just find something else to do. I'd find an excuse not to do it, and I didn't like that feeling. So I don't know if maybe it's just I'm not used to knitting cables and I need to get more practice in it or something, or I need to I know there's a way that you don't even use a cable needle, you just take them, pinch them, move them, and then just knit. Maybe that'll work better for me, but I don't know. This is really the only cable section on the sweater if you're following straight to pattern, but I'm doing a sleeve modification where instead of just doing 1x2 rib across the whole sleeves, I am doing the same charts that are on the body on the sleeves, so that way they kind of match and everything. So I have to do cables 2 more times to do the sleeves, but yeah. And then cable C was its whole other entity. I'm a part of the Salty Days knit along that Morgan Unraveled is hosting, and I love that group chat. It's so sweet, it's so wholesome, it's so cute, just seeing everybody share all their different kinds of combinations that they're doing for the Salty Day sweater. It's really nice to see. It's really cute, and I really enjoy being in there. It's such a great place to ask for information. Like when I was having trouble with my gauge, I asked what I should do because it was gonna look like I had to size up a ton, and so then I got a bunch of advice and things like that, and keep in mind growth when and blocking and things like that. It was just a lot of fun, and I mean it's not over. I don't know why I'm talking about it like it's past tense. It's still going on, but yeah, I'll link Morgan Unraveled below. She's a very nice, chill knitting YouTuber, and I kind of love watching her videos when I'm knitting. And she just looks like she has such a peaceful yet chaotic life, and I relate to that. I really do. But I had been warned by this group chat before I even got to chart C that row 5, there was a mistake in row 5 in the pattern. And so people were trying to work together to figure out how it was supposed to be. There was a difference because it's the kind of like the point of the diamonds, the side point of the diamonds. So, or I guess however you're looking at it, it's the diamond goes like this, it's these points. So if you're viewing it as 2 half diamonds, it's the top and the bottom of the diamond. If you're viewing the whole section as 1 diamond, which I viewed it as, it's the sides of the diamond. But there was a mistake, and they were working together to try to figure it out, and then got in touch with Kika, and she made a note on the Ravelry, and so then we finally got those like finalized fixed notes for the pattern. And I geared myself up one day. I said, we're gonna work chart C, and we're gonna see and we're gonna get to row 5, and we're gonna conquer row 5. I had my notes pulled up. I had possible troubleshooting methods. I had everything ready to go. I was ready to tackle this beast. And I got to row 5. I was following my notes very diligently, very carefully, and I was making sure to take out, to help myself when I'm doing lace and cables, is I put little stitch markers in between each repeat, so that way I know, like, if something went wrong within this repeat, I just need to look at this repeat and then maybe the repeat before, so on and so forth, right? So I had to take them out, and I did row C, and then I did the knit row after, and I was putting in my stitch markers back in because I had to take them out for row 5 because of the way that the knit 2 togethers worked. It was layered weirdly. So I'm putting them back in every 8 stitches for the repeat, and then I get to the end and I have 6 stitches where I should have 8, and I'm like, what? Where did I lose 2 stitches? So I go and I count all my stitches. I have the correct number of stitches. So how did I lose 2 stitches? And I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, well, let me look. This should be a yarn over. This should be a knit, so on and so forth. Just, I don't remember exactly what it was, but like doing that kind of thing where it's like, this should be into a yarn over. This should be into a knit. This should be into a knit 2 together. And it's all lining up correctly. And I'm like, what is happening? I feel like I'm losing my freaking mind because I can't figure out where I messed up and I lost these 2 stitches. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna have to do some sneaky increases. I'm gonna have to figure this out as I go, figure out where the best place to fit some sneaky increases in, because I need this stitch count to work up, but I don't understand how it's not. So I'm like, I don't know, maybe I have an extra stitch in one section, but I forgot a yarn over in another. I'm trying to think of all these possibilities of where I could have lost these 2 stitches, and I can't think of anything. So I start going and I'm knitting through my repeats, and I get up to this specific repeat. I slip the marker. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stitches, expecting to slip the marker next, and there's 2 more stitches. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Because I didn't increase stitches, I didn't decrease stitches, I didn't lose stitches, I didn't make new stitches. I just put my stitch markers wrong. Because if the fiber arts is going to teach you anything, it's going to teach you that you don't actually know how to count. I had done 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, and then a section of 10, and then gone back to doing sections of 8. I guess I just wasn't paying attention. I guess the movie I was watching was too good. The podcast was too good. I don't even remember what I was freaking doing, but I counted wrong. And that was literally my biggest trouble with chart C. Chart C was actually, with the note, very simple to follow. It was because I couldn't count. And it's like, man, dude, you psyched yourself up so much about chart C that even though you got it right, you still got something wrong. And I think that's poetic. But take that as you will. Anyways, praise be to the Salty Days Knit Along for helping me and giving me some advice while I was panicking about where these stitches went. And thank you guys for bringing the chart C mistake to light so that way it can be fixed and we can all have a simpler time. So thank you to the first 3 and so forth of however many people messed up on chart C and figured it out for the rest of us. Thank you guys. Your service will not be forgotten. But yeah, so I did chart C, I did the little eyelet section in between, and now these needles, they're clanking, man. Now I'm working on, let me try not to show too much, because boyfriend should be back by now. I'm working on these 1x2 ribbing section. And it feels like it's taking forever. And that's a personal thing. I find knitting ribbing to be really boring. Because I love doing knit stitches. They're so mindless and so easy. And I do a Norwegian purl, so purling is not totally painful for me. But it's still not, I prefer knit stitches, obviously, because it doesn't everyone. And so I'll get through these 2 Norwegian pearls that seem like they take forever, and then I'll do the one, I'll be excited, I'm like, oh, I have a knit stitch next, and then it's like I'm right back to Norwegian pearls, and they seem to take 3 times as long. Not necessarily in speed, they don't take that much of a time difference, but like in feeling, in their essence, in their they just feel that way, you know. And it takes forever. But yeah, instead of using a row counter, I have like a little broke girl hack, so I won't forget, is I took 20 stitch markers. Let me see if it'll focus on them and not me. Okay. Queen, I need you to focus. So I took 20 stitch markers and I stuck them all together, and I know that I start with the red side, and I end with the circle. And I am just, every time I pass them, I just move on to the next one, and I'm counting my way down. So then I know when I get to this pink stitch marker, that's my last row of ribbing, and I can get on with it. So after this is another eyelet section, and then the ribbing of the sweater, which is supposed to be half twisted rib. Let me put this over there so I can like not have the clanking and the clinking and everything. Okay, so the next section after this is the eyelets, and then the half twisted rib, except that again, shout out to the Salty Days No Long, I saw somebody on there do open twisted rib instead of the half twisted rib, and I was like, those faux cables, they look so gorgeous, and they're such a subtle detail in this already full textured knit that you can't, they're not like the Spotlight, but they add just a little touch. Plus I didn't really want to do like 1x2 rib and then go into half twisted rib. It's just too much ribbing together for me. So I consulted my boyfriend, because obviously it's his sweater. I was like, would you mind if I do modifications that I think would look better? And he was like, what are we talking about specifics here? And I said, changing this to this, and I showed him example pictures of both, and he's like, yeah, I like the open twisted rib better. So we're gonna do open twisted rib, which I learned literally just 2 days ago that it's not actually cables. I was going this whole time thinking it was cables, and it's just like twisted stitches and stuff that look like cables, but they're not actually like cables. So relief to me that I wasn't gonna be doing more cables, because I mean, I'm already having to do more cables and I'm not seeming to enjoy it, but you know. What's next? Okay, I bought the knitting needles. We'll get to that later. We'll talk more about that later. But I bought the knitting needles for the sleeves, because when I knit sleeves, I need shorter cables. So instead of like the full-size cable, which is like that long or so, I bought like the little shorter ones that are like, I bought the shorter ones that are like 3 inches or so. But I'm gonna, instead of buying carbons, also I couldn't find carbons, I bought the Nova Cubics. I know it's not wise to change needle types, because obviously the carbon has more of a grip, and then Nova is that like nickel plated or whatever. It's metal, but it's not like brushed metal, so there's just, they slide right off. So I know that's not wise, but I figured if I'm gonna change my tension, I'm gonna do it on the sleeves. So where I already wouldn't mind a looser tension, because I don't want them to be tight on my boyfriend's arms. I want them to be like a little bit looser. Also, if anyone's wondering, I did not make this. I bought this from a charity shop, and it's just great. I love it. I would love to make something like this one day, but alas, that day is not today. Yeah, I think that's it for the Salty Days. It's been on the needles for 31 days, so quite some time on it. Okay, next up is the Jack-o'-lantern socks by Renard and Dormy. This is a new cast on. I literally cast this on last night, so they have not been on the needles for not even a full 24 hours. But I did cast them on because I got the yarn in on Thursday, and I kept telling myself, oh, I'm gonna wait till I finish the body of the Salty Days, and I'm trudging through that ribbing, like I said, and I was like, why am I punishing myself? You have a time limit on these socks. Why are you punishing yourself by starting later? Like, just start on them and use them as relief when you need a break from the Salty Days, you know what I mean? So I went ahead and cast them on, and hold on, there's not much to show. I will tell you that much. There's not very, how are we tangled? We're tangled in the needles. Okay. Give me 1 second while I figure this out. Okay, there we go. Okay, so here we have my progress on the Jack-o'-lantern socks by Bernard and Dormy. Oh, like I said, little to no progress. It's just the ribbing. Guys, can we focus on the one thing that I want you to focus on? Literally, why is it focusing on my stitch marker? There it goes. Okay. So it's literally just one stripe. That's all I have right now in the ribbing. And I did mess up on the ribbing. I misread the pattern. I knew there was ribbing and I went right ahead and I started doing ribbing, and I was supposed to do half twisted rib. And I actually much prefer the look of half twisted rib, so I don't know why I didn't do that in the first place, but I didn't, and here we are now with ribbing. Now I have to make the other sock match, because to be honest with you, I don't really care enough to rip all this out and redo it, especially since I don't like doing ribbing. If it looks like there's way too many stitches to what I started on with, first of all, that's ribbing. Second of all, you do increase for the colorwork section right up here. It's just so hard to show because I have like almost nothing on here. But anyways, yeah, so that is the very beginnings of my jack-o'-lantern socks. They are knit with drops fabelle in the colors rust, apple green, and brown. So here's the rust, it's that orange color. And then here's the brown. Let's see. Here's the brown. I tried to show you guys back here because this is much more true to life than the close-ups are, because cloudy England messes with the sun and the lighting and everything. So while it does leave me very softly lit, it makes everything kind of blue. And in my fall knitting plans video, I had to color correct all the yarn that I had showed up, like close-ups of, because it was exceptionally cloudy that day. But I don't really want to do that for every video, so I'll try to show you from back here, because this is much more true to life. And then this is the apple green. I thought about doing like a dark green, because I do love a dark green. It's supposed to like a neon green. See, like, you see how that color looks literally not even that same color? But I wanted something that contrasted well with both of these, and the like apple, the bright green really did contrast well. So these are getting knit up. They are a little bit rustic, so if you're sensitive to wool, maybe don't use these in anything other than socks, because they're scratchy even for socks. But I do know that they soften up just a tad when they're blocked. So oh, let me say, drops fabelle is 75% wool and 25% polyamide. But yeah, so if you're a little bit more sensitive, maybe don't use it for something that's going to be next to skin that isn't a sock. But I'm knitting them in 2.25 millimeters for the ribbing, and eventually the heels and the toe. And then the color work is knit on 2.5 millimeter needles, which is what I have here. Like I said, I messed up the ribbing. I don't really care enough to go back and fix it, so we're just gonna make them both match. And one thing that I do differently when I knit colorwork, specifically colorwork socks, but colorwork anything really, is that I knit my colorwork inside out. So whenever I'm knitting, this is what my view looks like. Let's see. It really wants to focus on that stitch marker. See, this is my view. Queen. This is my view when I'm... What are you focusing on? This is my view when I'm knitting. When I first started knitting colorwork, I redid a sock like 4 times maybe, because my tension was so bad. It was so tight, and no matter how hard I tried and concentrated, I could not get my tension to be looser. So I was desperately searching online, being like, do I size up because my knitting is so tight, and I found this one lonely YouTube video that said, knit inside out, here's how. And I saw it and I was like, this makes no sense. And so I just started doing it, and I was like, because I was just open to trying anything at that point, and it worked. And I was like, are you kidding me? It was this easy all along. So ever since then, I've been knitting inside out, and actually it's so second nature for me at this point that I accidentally knit my ribbing inside out. Obviously it's ribbing, so it doesn't necessarily matter quite as much, and obviously I can just flip it inside out, because you're working with it like this, and you literally just flip it, and it's good to go. But it's just second nature to me, and it's helped for so much. It's helped for so long, and I'm so grateful for it. Well, yeah, it's been on the needles for one day. I said that before, but it's not even been on the needles for one day. It's been on the needles for less than 24 hours. So we'll see how much we get done by next podcast. Hopefully a bunch, because I want these done by Halloween. So okay, that was the last of my works in progress. So next up is acquisitions, of which I actually have some this week, some of which we've already seen, but there's more. I know, crazy, right? So obviously the first acquisitions that we have are the ones that I literally just showed you for the jack-o'-lantern socks by Renard and Dormy, which is the Drops Fabelle in brown, in rust, and in apple green. So like I said, 75% wool, 25% polyamide, much more rustic yarn than I probably would ever use, except if it were in a sock. I enjoy it for socks. It's hardy, it's sturdy, it holds up well in a sock. But again, like I said, wouldn't really use it for anything else. Okay, next up is Drops Nord, which I got for 2 out of 3 colors needed for the Home for Christmas socks by Renard and Dormy. So this is Drops Nord in the colorway red and the colorway white. So this is what they look like back here, and this is what they look like up close. If you'll focus on the actual yarn. Whoa. But yeah, very Christmas colors, obviously red and white. One of the most iconic Christmas duos. It is 45% alpaca, 45% alpaca, 30% polyamide, and 25% wool. I'm interested. I've never worked with that blend. It's the tiniest bit scratchy, and that is again because I'm so sensitive to wool. So if you're sensitive to wool, you can trust my opinions on this kind of stuff, because I actually have like rashes and stuff if my body doesn't agree with the wool. I don't think I'm allergic, but it just doesn't like it. And this is ever so slightly scratchy, but it's like really soft. For me personally, alpaca has been nothing but soft for me, but I know that for other people, sometimes alpaca makes things itchier for them, but not for me. So the alpaca makes this very soft, and I'd actually use this in another, like in a garment, if I needed a fingering weight garment, which sounds like hell on earth to knit, maybe if I held it double, but yeah. So once again, for the Home for Christmas socks, we'll see how it knits up. I'm excited actually to see how they wear in a sock, because 30% polyamide and 25% wool, that's a good blend. The 30% polyamide is really great actually. But I'm interested about the alpaca, because I know, at least I've heard, that alpaca doesn't hold up as well. It doesn't have like the longevity that wool has, but I'm interested to see how it being mixed with everything else makes it handle. But yeah. Okay. And then second to last yarn that we have is the last color for the Home for Christmas socks. So it's the third color for the Home for Christmas socks. It's a color that you've already seen on this channel before, because I have another skein of it. But I bought this one specifically for those socks because I'm just not really interested in plain yarn chicken. But it is Cascade Heritage in the colorway Pine. So this is it back here. And this is it up close. It's got like fibers from the Nord in it, but yeah. So this is 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon, and it is soft. So if you're sensitive to wool, Cascade Heritage is a good choice. It doesn't irritate my skin, so if you're sensitive to wool, check it out. I think it's a good option, and it won't really give you too many issues. But this is the full color palette for the Home for Christmas socks. This is what they look like all together. Obviously very Christmassy palette. Duh. And then the last yarn acquisition that we have today is Dew Store Alpaca Stirk in the colorway dark red. So this is it. This is what it looks like. This is a 50-gram ball. Let's see. So it's a 50-gram ball. This is what it looks like next to me. I bought 400 grams of this. So that's 8 balls of this. It is 40% alpaca, 40% merino wool, and 20% nylon. To be very honest with you, I did not look at the blend when I bought it, so that was a shock to me when it showed up. Not a bad shock, but just a shock. Surprise, right? But I bought this specifically to be knit up in my clematis sweater, which I don't know when exactly it's going to be getting cast on. My goal is before the end of the holiday season, because I would love to wear it for Christmas, but we shall see. But I just wanted to have it on hand, ready to go, so that way if something cleared up or something like that, I was able to just cast it on right away. Okay, and the last acquisition we have for today is not really an acquisition. It's probably more of an acquisition for next week's podcast because I don't have it with me. I did order those Nova Cubics like I told you earlier, but they are not here, so that's kind of an acquisition, kind of not. They're out for delivery, so they'll be here today, but they are not here yet, so sort of in between. We're counting it, but we're not at the same time. Anyways, let's move on to plans. Okay, so for plans for the next week, I don't want to make these too broad because then that's just general plans. I really want this to be plans for the next week. My plans for next week are to hopefully finish the body of the Salty Day sweater. Obviously I need to have that done within a month and 2 weeks or so, a month and a half. But I'm not gonna force myself to finish it ASAP, but I need that body to be finished so that way if I'm gonna be stuck on Sleeve Island working on other things, I can be stuck on Sleeve Island for a little bit, Obviously keep working on the jack-o'-lantern socks. I hope next week to be past the heel. Ideally working on the foot, but at least done with the heel. Heels are my least favorite thing to do in socks. They are just not the greatest fun for me. They seem to take a while, and it's the part that I really have to trudge through. So anytime I finish a sock on a heel, I text my boyfriend and I'm like, war is over, because war is over. I'm done with the heel and I'm free. Anyways, ideally I would also like to cast on the Home for Christmas socks because those are part of my boyfriend's Christmas present, so I need them done by November 27th. If you saw my fall knitting plans video, that is not new information to you, but I need those done before November 27th, so I would like to cast them on sooner rather than later, but honestly it's not going to be the biggest priority to me until November hits. So if they do, great, they're on the needles and I can just work on them passively as the next month and a half goes on. If not, not the biggest deal. It will become priority once Halloween hits. So, but yeah, I'm also thinking about buying some more yarn. I'm not exactly sure when this is going to happen because I'm going home for Christmas and I'm going to spend Christmas with my parents, and I want to knit them both a pair of socks. They're not watching this video, so I can just say and show my progress from now on. But I want to knit the blooming lavender socks. I don't know why I said bloomin' like I was going to Outback Steakhouse or something. But the blooming lavender socks by Stone Knits for my mom, and the Shrimply the Best socks for my dad, also by Stone Knits. I think my mom will think the lavender ones are really pretty, and I have this running joke with my dad where I buy him or make him the weirdest socks possible. So, I want to knit those obviously before Christmas, but I can't decide if I get that now and start working on it now because I already have a lot going on right now, or if I just wait until after my boyfriend's visit and then I work on it and I spend my full time working on those 2 pairs of socks. So I'm not exactly sure, and I also don't really know how this will all fit into my schedule with school and classes and homework and all that kinds of stuff, because I love being an English major and being up to my ears in homework all the time. I really do. It's great. I just don't understand why I need to read all these different things and come back with observations that are just pulled out of my butt. But anyways, see what I did there? Yeah, that's about it for plans, and I think that just about wraps it up for me. I don't think I have anything else to say. So, thank you oh so much for watching. If you liked today's video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and maybe even hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I post more videos like this. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, wherever you are, whatever time it is. So yeah, go out, be kind, seize the day, and savor your happiness. Bye, y'all.